Welcome to the VHS Club. We are late for our live studio audience, and I am so sorry. It is entirely my fault. In traditional Katie way, especially in the holiday season, I thought I could pull off everything today. And you know what? I just about did it. I baked all of the cookies. I worked my full-time job. I had friends come over for dinner. And then I looked at the clock because I was like, I'm going to put my phone aside because I'm going to be present with my friends. And I looked at the clock and I was like, it's 9:02. It's 9:02. And then I was like, oh no, Natalie is waiting for me in the studio. But my friends were still there and I was like wrapping up with them and they were like, okay, we're going to head out. I was just like looking at my phone, feeling moments. So thank you to our studio audience. And if you're like, what is a studio audience? Let me just take this moment to pitch the benefits since we're about to lose all of our existing studio audience from my mistake. The benefits of being part of our live studio audience is that you can interact with us while we're doing our recording for this podcast on YouTube. So you can leave all of your comments, hang out with everyone. It is just a really fun space, and it has become my favorite part of this podcast. I think yours too, Nat, right? I mean, is there a better
Oh,
part?
absolutely. Yes. Speaking of our studio audience, could we just have a little shout out for Val, who we saw on Jimmy Kimmel
Raise a glass
singing
to
with
Val.
Lenny
Oh.
Kravitz? Yay! I was like, oh my God, I know her.
We're basking in your glory.
Yeah,
That's
we're fans. We're fans of Val.
Yeah,
100%.
We need
Also, that was a great performance.
It was a great performance.
Lenny Kravitz. Ooh.
Lenny Kravitz. Yeah, we are still. We've probably watched this through 150 times and sent back and forth to each other and all of our friends and family. We need a merch site just so that we can make t-shirts that say like "I'm with Val" or "Team Val." Yes. That's our goal. Yes. That's our goal. We also need a Paul shirt because we can't leave Paul out. But in this particular moment, we're celebrating Val. So cheers to Val and the incredible Val says she didn't know that Lenny was that popular. Come on, Val, look at him. Val.
First of all, that man has not aged. Period. If you haven't seen his latest music video, live studio audience, please do yourself a favor. Has not aged. He is wildly popular, I thought. I mean, I guess he hasn't put out an album in a while, except for the one that's just come out. But I mean, he did become a huge meme in recent years with his giant sweater. And when I say giant knitted sweater, you'll find... No, well, apparently. But I lost my train of thought, Katie. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Say thank you, Lenny Kravitz.
Paul says that Val lives a sheltered life. All right. Well, we needed to take a moment, even though we are running late, to just celebrate Val because that was an incredible achievement and it was so fun to watch.
Such a great performance too. I was like, where's Val? And then there's a choir. I was like, oh my, that's amazing. It was a great performance, guys. So Lenny Kravitz on Jimmy Kimmel this past week.
Yeah, December 2023 for those of you listening in the future. I assume everyone will be listening in the future. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, this week we dived back into an absolute classic. I think this is what I have not yet done, so shame on me, but live studio audience will probably fill you in with all the details because they're really good at fact checking. But this, I don't know. I feel like this is in like the top 3 maybe even the top one, like iconic Christmas movies. It's like this one. Now it's totally slipping my mind. It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
That's probably
we didn't do that. We didn't time
yeah.
that. That was not a bit.
I can't. I can't watch that one, y'all. I mean,
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's outside of our like date range, so I feel okay with saying like we can't cover that one. I find it just so depressing. I just can't. I can't. It's so sad. I know it turns
Stupid little
around,
bell at the end.
but it's so sad. Oh, okay, we need to pause for a second because Dan is getting spicy in the comments. Dan, I even put it right next. You just weren't waiting long enough. I have. Dan was kind enough to send me Grumpy Cat, worst Christmas ever. And so I have this in queue. I'm ready. And thank you so much. It was really incredibly sweet for you to send along. Dan also sent other stuff, but I want to hold off on those ones because we need to cover those ones later. Later to be able to really fully appreciate everything. But he sent yes. Strange Brew, which is we'll talk about another time.
Classic.
So Canadian film. And then also a Magic 8-Ball. So which of course because I'm late and I have it displayed on my back shelf, I can't reach it.
I see it. I see it back
it's
there.
It's back there. It's in the back. So huge thank you to Dan. But yeah, let's jump into Christmas Story. Did you watch this one, Nat? Did you rewatch this one?
Of course I did. I watch it every year. It's one of those that I do as somebody who keeps saying I'm not a big Christmas person. I'm like, oh, I do watch like more than a handful of movies every year. This is one of them. Katie and I were talking about this earlier, how there's this 24, I don't know if they still do it, but there's like a 24-hour movie marathon every Christmas that played this movie just like on a loop over and over.
Still do, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I remember seeing it when I was a kid, and Katie said the same thing. And I also realized that there's so many different like quotes from this movie, like when the father wins a contest and he gets the prize come in the post like the a couple days before Christmas, and on it says fragile, but he reads it, oh look at this, it's so fancy, it says fragile,
it's from Italy,
it must be Italian.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, oh, that is 100% where my dad got it from, and that joke never got old in this house. Like, it has been said since the 80s. Like, everything is fragile and not fragile. So there's a lot of things in this movie that I was like, yeah, this is a core memory. And so there's this one, so it's basically, the movie's just like a cute little capture of a classic Christmas, like a classic American Christmas, right? Yeah. That's basically it. Like there is a plot. It's from the point of view of a little boy, Ralphie, who really wants a Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas. And everybody, his mom, his teacher, even Santa, like the mall Santa, tells him, well, you can't get one of those. You'll put your eye out. Which is and in the end he does. Like, yeah, basically. Exactly. I mean, his glass is deflected, but he almost put his eye out. And I have to say, also classic gift. And the dad did like my favorite thing at the end of the movie, which I'm like, such a dad move, where, everybody's opened their presents and like the little brother is sleeping in a pile of presents and the parents were relaxing with their breakfast wine. Was that breakfast wine?
I had questions about that. Yeah. I was like, is it still breakfast, or they've just been sitting there like basking in like post-Christmas glory for the whole day? Well, I mean, I'm in either way. I mean, I'm
like from now on we're doing breakfast wine for Christmas Day. So
yeah, in the future, that's what we haven't done that before. Yeah. No.
Mimosas with a hint of orange essence.
That's very true.
But I mean, so but a full glass breakfast wine.
I have some questions. I had this debate earlier with Dane, so I'm interested to hear what you think, and feel free to chime in. Awesome studio audience. Shout out to Doc, who's watching from Japan. Hello.
Wow, we went international.
We're international now. Yeah, exactly. So there's a ton of really incredible facts from this movie. So Nat just said one earlier in that this as like a gimmick to try to promote this movie, TNT, which has now changed a number of times in the network abbreviation, but at the time, TNT did like a 24-hour run of this movie. So that's actually how many people like originally. This is how, in many ways, it has become like a cult classic. Is that it just literally plays back to back at Christmas, like all
Yeah.
the way through. But
It's on TV no matter what time
it's on
of day you turn
TV
it
no
on.
matter when you watch it. Yeah. And you can just keep watching it over and over again. But this movie is the plot is based on a book. And the premise of the
Yeah.
book is, and what this is
My
supposed to
grandpa
be
used to
about.
read it to me all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So the premise of this book is actually really supposed to be geared towards like the ridiculousness. It's supposed to be almost like a satire on the ridiculousness of commercialism, which
Yes.
I don't like. It's not that I don't think necessarily that it achieves this, but so the author of the book was actually really flabbergasted / upset about the fact that so many people find this movie nostalgic. And I was like, because what you just said, right?
I
Like
see it.
everything that you just said is exactly how I feel about this movie, where it's like there's all of these kinds of like, it's this series of, similar to Christmas Vacation, actually. It's this series of Christmas moments that no matter like what age you are watching these back, you see yourself in one of the people, one of the characters in this movie. It kind of takes you back to like a time where you wish it was. Like, I mean, other than maybe if you're watching this as like a young kid, you kind of you have some sort of relationship to it. And like, I would argue that it's much more nostalgic than it is like, I guess an essay of sorts on commercialism. Like, I get it. I get that he like,
I mean, I
sees
feel
and wants
that
this gun, but it like, I don't know. I didn't think. Yeah. So Dan said exactly what. So Dan, you and I are on the same page here. So when I was talking about this earlier with Dane, I was saying that like, I think movies like Jingle, is it Jingle All the Way? I guess that is the name of it.
Yeah.
For a moment there, I was like, doesn't sound right.
With Arnie?
Where the dads are like trying to find that, that perfect gift, and like there's like hordes of people and there's fighting. And
The
like
Cabbage Patch Kid of the 80s.
The Cabbage Patch Kid, right?
The Cabbage Patch riot.
Yeah,
my dad was there. My mom was like, my baby needs one. And he was like, what? Had to go to the US. So my dad, as a Canadian man, had to go to a foreign country to get one of these dolls when there were literal riots in the US for these dolls. He's like, I got it, Soph, no problem. Jesus.
But I would argue that one is much more of a commercial movie than this one. Is that, what are your thoughts?
I mean, they do plug, okay, so the kid's focus is he listens to these radio shows, aka today's streaming, our days, TV, whatever. Okay, so so he's plugged into these radio shows, he's listening to it, he's into what is it, Annie with a decoder ring.
Little
Orphan Annie. That's it. I literally have copies of all of these radio shows on CD somewhere. I actually have copies of these, like digital, but anyways, I'm a weird kid. So they have like the old radio shows. So he hears ads that are between, like there are commercials during the episodes, right? So he has like, there's the ads for Ovaltine. So he saved up all of his little coupons that you used to cut off the labels of like the Ovaltine bottle, and you'd save all of your little barcodes, and then you'd send them in, and then you'd get like, and for him, he got the little decoder ring, the little Orphan Annie decoder ring. And there's a message at the end, and God, the disappointment of these things was so epic. And I was thinking, I was like, you remember all the things in the back of comic books that you could send in? It was like sea monkeys. But they were always so disappointing, or like, super spy, like invisible ink, and it never worked. Like, it was so disappointing. So this kid has this disappointing moment, Ralphie, when he gets his decoder ring, and he's been waiting and waiting and waiting for it for like months, and he finally gets it. And when he gets the message, he goes to decode it, and he's all stressed, and he's trying to, and it reads like, don't forget to drink your Ovaltine. It's just another ad. And I guess I could see also, like, he wants the Red Ryder BB gun.
Yeah.
He wants the Red Ryder BB gun because he hears about it on, not only in the commercials, but on the show, because it's mentioned in the show that he listens to. It's in the commercials, it's at the mall. So yeah, there is that kind of commercialism. And I have to say, Christmas Eve for this family, I'm like, this mother, what, like, Katie. Okay, so she's cooking. No, so the kids are at school. They get home from school. She's been cooking all day. She gets them all dressed up. They go to the parade downtown,
Yep.
which is mayhem, mayhem. And also, I don't know why the evil monkeys from The
Yeah.
Wonderful Wizard of Oz beat
Yeah.
up Mickey Mouse in the parade. I questions, but
Yeah.
anyways, that happened. And then after the parade, they go to the mall to see Santa on Christmas Eve.
That is so
Hey,
not
my lad,
not
like,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
sick, like sick
Not
in the head. What?
That's not a thing like here, but I will say
No,
that maybe I'm
no.
speaking badly. People in the studio
And
audience
wait,
can.
and they go home. They decorate the tree. They do all the tree trimming, and they set up all the presents. And like it's like end and end and end. I'm like, no, lady,
Yeah.
sir, madam, please calm down. But and you could see, so the movie takes place in the 50s.
It doesn't.
Um,
So this
or
is
is
the
it the 60s?
no, not even. This is the crazy thing about this movie. So this movie actually does not have a date. So it is the
I genuinely thought
early.
it was the
So
50s. Well, because of the cars.
it is the early 40s technically because of so it has a whole bunch of references. But if you actually
But then why
track,
are they wearing post-war?
well,
Like one of the kids has the post-war airman's. That's got to be the movie, and not the book.
that's it though. So like there are references that like that would put it in 1939. There are references that would put it in 1941. There are references that would put it. It's all like in and around the early 40s, but there's no specific like it doesn't. If you like
The
track
Raggedy
all of the
Ann
references, they
the
don't
Raggedy
add
Ann
up.
and Raggedy Andy
Yeah.
dolls, early 50s, which
Yeah.
were everywhere in that movie.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so in the
So
mall,
it's just a fact. Like they literally don't have. It doesn't
it's not
have a date.
specific, but it's in
like,
that. To me, I thought it was kind of like a post-war, like
Yeah.
early post-war
Yeah.
kind of era. At least that's the vibe. I mean, like from the years of the cars and the,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. But okay, so I'm sure a lot of us in the audience, and Katie and I remember in the 90s there was Furbies, and I've heard they're back, but don't know. I refuse. They are terrifying demons.
Yeah.
So this toy was super popular, and they were horrific looking in the 90s. And I remember I was in New York City, and FAO Schwartz had this giant, like 30-foot demon Furby. Okay, and it was a nightmare, and I'm like, it still haunts me. I will never forget that moment, seeing it and be like, oh god. Like, and in this movie there was this giant Raggedy Ann doll, which I was like, oh my god, is that where the Furby came from? Is that where they got the idea? What a nightmare. It was like floor to ceiling doll, like this rag doll, which I have one for the live studio audience or people watching later. It's OG. It was my aunt's, and she was a 50s baby. My mom had Raggedy Andy, who was a bit newer, but I couldn't find him. Knowing my mom, he's like ziplocked in some like like vacuum sealed bag somewhere. But anyways.
Absolutely.
And has lived her good life.
I guess I felt like the storyline of, and maybe this is just the era that I grew up in. I'm interested to hear what everyone thinks, but like I will agree with you that I think the whole Ovaltine decoder ring scene, like that definitely speaks very commercialism.
So
to
depressing.
Me. But the but also like there's a nostalgia there because again, like I did that as a kid, like filled out these things. Maybe not Ovaltine, but I filled out these things.
No. But we used to cut out the little barcodes because you have to save the barcodes. They have number, and you could send them in the post. It was such a
and like entered like I entered like newspaper raffles and things like that. But I will say that like the concept of Ralphie wanting the BB gun, right? Like this is like, and I feel like this is lost a little bit today. Like my kids have never like the things that they ask
they don't
for,
have a Sears Christmas wish book.
There's no wish book. There's no commercials really. So like everything that they're seeing or that they want is either through YouTube, like what they watch on YouTube, which I have restrictions on that, and then also on like what their friends want. But there hasn't been like, both with the advent of Amazon and online shopping mixed with the lack of television commercials and like malls and catalogs, you have like a generation that doesn't have the kind of like one toy or one thing that they want. But like that, I guess that felt more nostalgic to me than commercial. Like I was like, every like that is not so much that like
we also did watch this when we were kids.
I guess
Yeah.
it's like he didn't. I mean, he wanted the toy because he saw the ads, but he more wanted the gun because like all of his
Because it's
friends
pretty
had
cool.
it. It was cool. It was like that. Like, and even the dad is like, well, I had one when I was his age. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of the I don't know. I feel like there's something about that where it's like the one thing that everyone wants, and if you could get that one thing, like there's like it's so. I don't know. Iconic.
And I
That's why you
have to
need to watch
say
8-Bit
that I
Christmas
have
over
to
the
say
Nintendo. Yeah.
I have to say that this movie, regardless of what the author wanted,
Mm-hmm.
is still selling Red Ryder BB guns. Like still to this day. Because we're all nostalgic for it. We make our kids watch it. We're making, and then they're like, well, I want a red. When my dad got my brother a Red Ryder BB gun, he did the same thing as it was in the movie where the kid's like, he asks, hey kid, did you get everything you wanted for Christmas? He's like, yeah, it's pretty good Christmas. I guess I got everything I wanted. And he's like, oh, what's that over there? Did Santa leave something else? My
I
dad,
love
like
that.
literally, I didn't realize that until rewatching it this year that my dad had played out that whole scene in real life. Like my dad had these gags going on us that I'm just getting like so many years later.
In it for the long haul.
I'm like, oh, I figured this out my life later. And so when my brother got his Red Ryder BB gun, like I was pretty jealous, but also just really excited that I'm like, oh my God, there's a Red Ryder BB gun. And my brother was so excited. And much like Ralphie, I have to say, I extracted a promise from my parents to get equal playtime with the Red Ryder BB gun. I'm like, I masterfully orchestrated this like promise that my Christmas will have been complete if I get to use the gun as much as Andrew does. Like BB gun. BB, fake little toy, like poop poop, like it pew pew. It doesn't you can't even hurt a spider with it, okay? Like
Yeah.
But
Paul,
yeah, so
Paul says most of the toys I got as a kid would be considered unsafe today. Yeah, same.
Oh yeah, same.
Same.
My brother's like, hey, for his daughter, she's 1, and he's like, do you still have the old Tonka trucks? I'm like, Andrew, they're old, metal, and rusty, just like they were when we were kids.
Have them. Yes.
I'm like, that dent I have in the back of my head? He's like, oh yeah, maybe when she's older. I'm like, I know we had those when we were kids, but do you want to give that to your kid? Oh boy. Yeah, some of our toys are super unsafe.
Oh, you know what? It's fine. It worked. It worked itself out one way or the other.
I mean, we're definitely cut from a different cloth, but I don't know if that's good or bad yet.
Time will tell. Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite line in this movie is in the opening sequence. So it's an older Ralphie retelling this story from when he was a kid, and he's describing the upcoming holidays. He's like, the city's preparing for a bacchanalia of peace and goodwill to mankind. I have laughed so hard at that line because I'm like, bacchanalia, like it's like basically an ancient Roman orgy with drugs and alcohol. Okay, like it's when people have an unhinged party, and it's the fact that he uses that word. I'm like, this movie's gonna be a gag. Like, right at the beginning that it's not serious.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that because this whole concept. So this movie came out in 1983, the best year, and
Yes,
yes, this is my favorite year. But it definitely had this like voice over, like, older guy recounting his childhood. So this is him talking about himself as a kid, and this concept, which is definitely not novel per se to this movie, but it actually, a few years later, The Wonder Years was released, and the whole concept of The Wonder Years comes directly from this movie. So it's kind of cool, which I didn't know. And I guess that
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same as The Wonder Years, except he doesn't say "Voulez-vous du beurre," which. Anyways, I thought it was pretty cool to see a kid on TV like my age saying something in French. It's like, other people speak French
properly,
outside. Well, not properly, but but like outside of my immediate area. I'm like, an American can speak French?
Well,
Anyways, this
well,
is a
yeah.
cute moment. I remember it, but
Yeah. Yep.
wow,
So
that
it
makes
was
so much
it
sense.
was an inspiration. And apparently
Oh,
Peter,
that's so
the
cute.
actor who plays Ralphie, was in a later episode of The Wonder Years, which makes it just even
Oh,
more iconic.
oh,
Also, the actor who plays Ralphie is responsible in many ways for helping to like he was, oh shoot, I'm gonna screw up the fact because I was late and I don't have my notes in front of me. But this is my fault.
did you
Where is our
text
like
me?
sad sound emoji or sound effect?
I just made one. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Grump
He
from An Emperor's New
was
Groove.
involved to some level, and you can live fact check me here since we have a helpful studio audience. But he was involved in some level in the, I want to say, like writing or production of the first Iron Man movie. So he was actually like helpful in a lot of the, and was also another fun fact. There was an entire scene that was cut out of this movie. So there's a couple of scenes in this film that stayed in that were basically like weird like dream versions of what Ralphie was hoping would happen. So like there were or the reverse, like things that he thought that like adults would react. So there's like one with like his mom dressed up like a jester and his teacher dressed up like a witch, and they're like, "You'll shoot your eye out. You'll shoot your," like scenes like that.
But she was very specifically dressed as like the
The
Wicked
Wicked
Witch
Witch of the
from
West, yeah.
West.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
what
of the
was
40s,
the
50s,
Wizard
and
of
potentially
Oz?
60s of it all. Yeah.
It was so crazy. And again, like, why did the evil monkeys from the Wizard of Oz beat up Mickey Mouse?
Because of the era, but not like not specifically defining an era. Anyway, there was a
Anyways,
scene
so
that was
funny.
cut out of the movie that had Ralphie with the Flash. So like I guess the actor and the like and the level of nostalgia for this movie. So here's a couple
So that
other
would have made it
facts.
a little confusing.
So this movie has like some crazy one. I mean, there's some fun facts in most, if not all, of the movies we do, but a couple that I thought were really interesting. So aside from the ones we've already mentioned, the house from this movie. So this movie is filmed actually half in Toronto, yay Canada, and and half in Cleveland, which is also a pretty awesome city, all things considered. But
I'm like,
but I
isn't
guess
Toronto often Cleveland in
yeah,
TV and movies?
it's
I
the
don't know
same.
why.
It's the same. Yeah, exactly. But the house that they live in is actually a real house in Cleveland, and
Oh, that's
it is an Airbnb house that you can actually stay in, and it is completely all
on the
still
list.
decorated. Yeah, decorated like the movie. And the actor who played Ralphie's little brother, Randy, actually lived
So
there
cute.
like in like college while working like locally in the city. He was just like, "Can I live here? And I'll do tours." And they were like,
That's
"Yes."
wild.
Yeah. It's now I believe an
Good for him.
Airbnb, but it was just like a like I don't know, like movie tourist rental company because obviously
That's
this was
so
before
cool.
Airbnb, but yeah, so I thought that was a fun one. And the other fun fact,
Okay.
which I
Okay.
think you will appreciate more than anyone else. So, and these are two facts that go closely together. The first is that the father doesn't actually have a name. He's just referred
Yeah.
throughout this movie as the old man, and or my old man, the old man, etc. And originally, they actually were entirely desperately wanting to get Jack Nicholson to play the father, but he had
No.
just won an Oscar, so they couldn't afford him. But can you imagine
Did you
this
know how
movie with Jack
scary that
Nicholson?
would have
It would have been so scary. It would have
been? I'm
like
like,
everything.
I'm
happened.
thinking of a younger Jack Nicholson, which is like, I'm thinking of Jack Nicholson like in the time period that this movie may or may not have taken place in. Like, so
In
I'm
the
thinking of
40s,
like
50s, or
the
60s. Yeah.
I'm like thinking of the original Shop of Horrors JackNicholson. Like, if
Yeah.
you haven't seen original Shop of Horrors Jack Nicholson, just
Any Shop
Google
of
a
Horrors is
picture of him.
fantastic. Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
like young Jack was. So we think that Jack Nicholson now, like, he was the Joker in the 80s. That was scary.
Yeah.
He was actually
Oh, he's the
very
Shining
terrifying.
as well too. Like he's
Yeah,
scary.
so he's scary, but younger Jack Nicholson, just the look of him was more scary than anything he's ever made on film. Like, he was so scary looking. No, that wouldn't have worked. This dad was great.
All right, there are some amazing comments coming through here, so we really have to take advantage of sharing
Yes,
some of these. Okay,
please.
so Paul had mentioned that his toys were unsafe. Dan is sad
Yeah.
because he only had Nerf guns. Us too, Dan. We're of the same generation, so we also only had had Nerf guns, but
I see lawn darts. Yes,
lawn
I know.
darts.
I know the
Yeah,
game.
lawn darts.
You know
Absolutely
that
no.
game? There was an Adam Sandler movie, and it's funny because I saw it with a couple of different generations of people, and they're like, "That seems so unrealistic. Nobody would ever have done that." Where they just throw the lawn darts up, and the last one to move, like you play chicken with the lawn darts.
You're like, no
Yeah,
one. Yeah, no.
I know those people. Yeah,
Yep.
no, those
Yep.
things are dangerous. Like so dangerous.
Dan says in college they used to tie a hose to the back of a truck and sit on a cafeteria tray and hold on sliding in the snow. Right? We did that with a wagon in the summer. So we would have a wagon and we turned around the handle so that it was
Like
a
a Schwinn
steering
10.
wheel, kind of like a
Yeah.
steering wheel, and we would load into the wagon like more kids than fit into the wagon, and then go
Running.
down a hill or run, or it was highly dangerous.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we used to
Totally
do that
flipped
in the
that a couple times
street.
in the street, cars and
Like,
all. Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't kill Ben.
So
Sorry,
Paul
Ben.
sorry to Ben. Paul is sending in some awesome fun facts. I did see this one, which is horrifying. Get ready, Nat. So Peter Billingsley, who's the actor who played Ralphie, at the age of 12, was given real chewing tobacco by the prop manager for his scene when Ralphie is dreaming of being a sheriff confronting. And it says afterward he got crazy sick for an hour on the set. They thought
No
they
kidding.
thought it was a better
child.
idea to give him raisins and make brown spit instead of the real chewing tobacco. Yeah, obviously. I just like.
I mean,
And this was the 80s. Keep in mind, like this was not the 40s
Yeah.
and 50s and 60s when they were filming this. This is the 80s.
this
of
is
it
not when they were filming Wizard of Oz, like, because that was horrific yeah. Yeah, the 80s were still pretty wild. Like, did we have any child labor protection in the 80s? Probably
all.
not.
Not what we needed.
I
that's for
feel
sure.
like that's a Harry P kind of era thing.
Yeah.
That's like the 2000 kids, the millennials had that protection.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So speaking of crazy things that and dangerous toys, so how many of us have triple dog dared somebody to lick a metal pole in winter and done it? So your tongue does stick, but you're not going to be like the kid where you like. I mean, maybe, but I wasn't stupid enough to keep it on there long enough.
So it actually wasn't like many of these movies. Christmas Vacation had the same fact if you go back and listen to that episode, but they actually did not have any snow for this movie. It was not all that cold when they were filming. And so the
It
pole
looked like
wasn't
fake snow.
the pole was just like a normal, not cold pole. So
The
it wasn't
kid's just standing there flailing.
No, so even better, they actually put a vacuum suction up through it. So they vacuumed his tongue, which apparently all of the articles that I read said that like it made it so it was
bad is that for
painless.
you?
And I was like, I don't know, that sounds painful.
Oh man, that's
Your tongue
like
vacuum
his
stuff.
tongue must have been so swollen. That poor
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely tried that.
I
Again,
do
I'm
love-
pretty sure we can contribute that to this movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But also like I double dog dare you. I triple dog dare you.
Triple dog dare you.
We always did that.
Yeah, I do love that moment, and I also love that like none of the kids will tell the teacher like who did it. And then I love later in the movie.
But I love that the teacher also knows exactly who did it.
Yeah, the teacher is fantastic.
Teacher's not stupid.
But I do love later in the movie there's like there's I forget which one of Ralphie's friends. One of Ralphie's friends gets like pummeled by the bullies in this like epic scene. And he comes back into class with like a giant black eye, like after recess or lunch or what have you. And they like he like walks the teacher says nothing. Like she's like horribly upset that the kid was stuck. Yeah. The kid was like stuck outside. I think it was even the same kid. The kid was like stuck outside with his tongue on the pole, and she's like beside herself for that. And they call like the fire department. But the kid like comes back in with like a really serious black eye, and she's like, "Have a seat." Like it's just like, life happens.
Okay. So the bully and the toady. First of all, I would like to say that I am insulted that the bully is always a redhead. Like really. Like, why are redheads so evil?
Too. Like, can we talk about his hat? Like, I can't take him seriously.
Which, again, makes me think 50s because my dad and his Davy Crockett hat when he was a little kid.
I guess.
He's
like...
Crockett. Like, I even know the theme song.
I know the Davy Crockett because of Disney.
Loved it.
Because of Disney.
But, why did he have to be, why are redheads evil? People, relax.
I don't know.
That's kind of more the Canada Commonwealth thing. I'm like, I don't think I don't do Americans think redheads are evil? Is that
No, I
soulless
don't think
as they are often called? Or is that just like the rest of the English speaking world?
it's as a big of a deal
Uh,
of a big of a thing here, but I will say that
no.
like I don't know. I found him much more disturbing in how much older he
Comment
looked
too
to the rest of the
fiery.
kids. Yeah, he's too
I'm like,
fiery.
well, yeah, my great Auntie Ellen definitely was like, told my brother, she's like, never marry a redhead because we're trouble. And I'm like, what do you mean you're trouble? And she's like, well, I know because I am one. I'm like, oh, okay,
She's
that's
like, I have
that's fair.
permission. I am one.
But also the toady. Okay, I love this kid. He's a super tiny, tiny kid, like super shrimpy. But
Yeah,
he
they could
looks like
take
a
him.
40, he
Yeah.
looks like a 45-year-old gangster. Okay. Like, and I don't mean like gangster how we think about nowadays, but I'm like a 50s gangster, like one of those on the mean streets of New York, like that was a terrible accent. I can't do New York, guys. Give me Europe, I can cover most of them. I'm sorry, I apologize profusely. But he looks like one of those like old-timey gangsters from the 50s. I'm like, that's amazing, this kid.
No, this kid, the two of them are crazy, and I found I think the best fact yet. So and maybe none of you will appreciate this because we have not yet covered this movie, but um, but the kid that plays the toady is also one of the kids on the bicycles and skis and all kinds of stuff in the iconic movie Better Off Dead with John
Love
Cusack. One of the I want my $2 newspaper stalking crazy
Yes.
kids. And I read through that fact and I was like, this is everything to me. This
Like, I
is
could
so
literally
good.
hear
I
the
can
kid in the movie
hear him
saying
saying
that.
that. Yeah.
I can't picture him, but I can
Nope.
hear it.
Can't
Like
picture
that.
him at all, but I believe that to be true and it makes me so happy
Yeah.
and I just love it.
I
It's
want my
amazing. I
$2.
want my $2. I need my $2. So like on a personal
Yeah.
hilarious fun fact that so the concept of this movie playing in like a 24-hour marathon where it just like plays over and over and over again at Christmas time. So I became obsessed with the movie Better Off Dead because it was probably TNT or TBS or whatever it is now that did the same thing with that show. Like there was a time period where Dane and I were first starting. Val says she loves this movie. Me too, Val.
Yes, Val.
She when Dane and I were first started dating, there was like a channel that played it for weeks, just Better Off Dead on repeat, and it's like a pretty obscure movie. Like this is not like a popular movie, and it played like
Yeah.
over and over and over. And Dane and I would just sit there and we watched it like it would like be halfway through and we're
Over
like,
and
we'll
over.
finish it. And then it started again and we're like, okay, we'll keep going. Like we just saw that movie so many times as a result of it. And this one was similar.
Yeah.
Like Christmas Story was one of those ones where it's like, oh, well, it's Christmas Day. We've already like opened gifts and we're hanging out. Oh, no. Oh, well, it's on. So you might as well just
Let's watch
it.
this.
Okay, again. Why not? Like, let's just keep watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I love the scene when the younger brother is hiding in the pantry. So Ralphie beats up the bully because he's had a shit day. He thought he was gonna get an A on this paper that he wrote. He thought, when you handed in something and you're like, I tried so hard on this assignment. I worked so hard. It's the best piece of it's the best composition ever written in the history of elementary school, right? And you hand it in and you're like, I didn't get an A. You're like, what?
He got
So
a C
Ralphie's,
plus too, which is like not
which is,
impressive.
yeah, so I'm like, this poor kid is devastated. So he's in a pretty pissy mood. Is everybody keeps telling him he's gonna put his eye out with the Red Ryder BB gun, like everything's gone wrong. And this bully is like, I wanted to beat you up at lunch and you ran away instead, so now I'm gonna beat you up. And Ralphie just loses it and pummels this kid. Which I'm like, my dad would have been like,
Well
good
done.
job.
Well
Like
done. I know, which is inappropriate to say today. So
different era. But I mean, a bully does sometimes, it seems that if a bully is bullied, they will stop bullying. It could only take once to stop them. So Ralphie, and he loses his glasses and he thinks like his dad's gonna kill him for getting in a fight, for using bad language, um for losing his glasses. And then his mom covers for him, and because she's like, you know what, the other kid probably deserved it. And Ralphie was having an anxiety attack and everything, and she takes care of him and she covers for him, and he's like, oh. But before that, the kid brother is hiding in the pantry and bawling his eyes out, and the mom's like, why are you crying? She's like, Dad's gonna murder Ralphie when he gets home. I laughed so hard. I'm like, yeah, that is such a child, like, it's such a kid thought to have. And I'm like, I have that sort of gut, like, yeah, I'm sure we've thought that at some point. And my
Mhm.
parents like never really punished. Like we were good kids. We got in trouble, but like our parents, they didn't take the switch to us like back in the day. Like it was like go to your room. But I'm like, for sure there was times where I'm like, oh my god, our parents are gonna kill us if they find
Mhm.
out. And I just
Absolutely.
thought that scene was so real, and I was just like, oh man, that kid thinks that this is the end. I loved it.
The brother is so strange. Like every single scene, you're just kind
Yeah.
of like, oh, you're a lot. I don't know what to say. He's just like a very,
I
very strange
yeah.
character.
And
Well,
also when Ralphie swears, okay, so he drops an F bomb, and the parents are like, where did you hear that word? And it's like the dad swears every 5 seconds, right? And it's like, what a stupid question. Like, you know exactly. I'm like, my mom was clever and would swear in a different language, thinking we wouldn't understand. Instead, we just picked up a whole bunch of foreign swear
yeah, you
words,
learned all
which I
the all the
still
swear words in
do.
Ukrainian. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I know every Ukrainian bad word. Like, that's pretty much most of the Ukrainian I know how to speak is just swearing. Like, thanks, Ma.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, I
it's
love
so
it.
funny when parents are like, where did you learn that? It's like,
Well, and that scene is
from
like
you.
especially funny because because they wanted to keep this with like a PG rating, he actually, so he doesn't swear out loud. They replace it with the word
Yeah,
fudge. But if
yeah.
you look at like if you look at him while he's speaking it, he actually like as a kid says fuck. Like
Yeah.
he says the word, and they apparently like recorded it like a bunch of times, and they just voice overed with the like
Yeah.
with the narrator as him saying fudge, which I think is
I'm like, you hear
equally
these
awesome.
words.
Yeah.
You hear these words when you're a kid. You like some parent said it or somebody at the mall
Oh
said
yeah.
it or whatever, and then kids at school will repeat it and then you'll be like, what's that word? And then you'll test it out and be like, oh nope, not that one.
Yeah. No, not that
Like,
one.
nope.
Oh.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, we need to talk about this one particular scene, even though it's probably not even kind of politically correct. But I do absolutely love the
Yeah.
Chinese
I had
restaurant
mixed
scene.
feelings about it.
You had mixed feelings about it this time.
Okay,
I
well,
love the
one,
authenticity of the mother's laughter, which apparently was like
yes.
realistic. When they bring out like the full duck with like the duck head, and she just loses her mind,
It's just like,
and
well,
it's
there,
so
it's the
good.
singing
Like,
too.
yeah, the singing, which is
Okay,
horribly
so
racist, but the rest of it, I just
yeah.
like. It's so. I don't know about you guys, and I'm interested to know, but I grew up in a generation where we went out for Chinese food all the time, like to these like to the Chinese buffet restaurants, to like all the different Chinese restaurants. Like it was like such a, again, like the level of nostalgia over going to these, and a lot of my memories of that are probably completely inappropriate, of my dad
Yeah.
saying super racist weird things, but the but
It
but like
it was the 80s.
it was yeah, which I'm sure he's so well intentioned and he's come a long way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but yeah,
Had some
that part
conversations
I
with
agree
my
with, was like
90s.
cringe
Yeah,
worthy.
I
But the there was something about them like being forced to go to a Chinese restaurant, which is such a like amazing
which I
thing
was like,
to.
I hope my adult thoughts seeing it, I was like, "Oh, I hope they do this from now on because that mom does too much at Christmas." I'm like, "No, no,
Yeah,
she did too much."
Dan says
Um,
I'm Jewish. Yeah, so see, I grew up in Montreal where it was like
yes.
everyone went out for Chinese food
So
around
December
Christmas time because people
25th.
were Jewish. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
In our neighborhood growing up, Katie and I,
yeah.
December 25th, every movie theater and every restaurant was packed.
Packed. Yeah,
Like,
packed. I worked
packed.
at
You
Blockbuster in
could
a
not
very Jewish
go
neighborhood.
out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you could not go out. Like, one time, stupidly, my family was like, let's go see a movie on Christmas. I'm like, why? And they're like,
Mhm.
well, nobody will be there. I'm like, but all of our Jewish friends are
Yeah.
at the movies today. I'm like,
All of
it's
our
going to be
friends will be
packed.
there. Yeah.
And my dad's like, no, 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 no. No. We go and it's like, we have to wait for like the movie in 3 hours because everything's sold out. And my dad's like, oh, you were right. Never mind. Sorry, kids. Like, I was just like, what? Everybody goes to the movies on Christmas.
Hmm.
Oh, God. I'm like, that's why we stay in because like everywhere is full.
Yeah.
I did like, so watching the Chinese restaurant scene, it's like, so the singing was meant to be funny because there was this whole racist
Yeah.
like there's this whole racist stereotype of how Chinese immigrants could pronounce L's as R's. Um or R's as L's, as
Yeah.
it were.
Yeah.
And the movie plays on that joke. And I do, so watching it now, I'm like, I remember that that is funny. Like my
Yeah.
brain is telling me like, hey, this dusty old part of your brain is like, ha ha ha, that's really funny. And I'm like, it's not.
It's not,
Which
yeah.
also like, any of our Chinese friends growing up sounded like that? No,
No.
zero. Like
No, it was
none of their
yeah.
parents, none of like none of their grandparents.
No.
I think I had the like I was most shocked when I went to a Chinese restaurant and the hostess was seating people and she had a thick accent, which I'm like, you know, Montreal, tons of immigrants, like it non-pulsed, don't even notice it. But then I look, I'm like, Amanda? And she's like, oh. And I'm like, I've known you since you were 6. What are you and she's
Yeah,
like,
they're
oh, we put
putting
it
it
on. We
on.
put it
Yeah.
on. And I'm like,
It
that's
deserved. Yeah.
terrible.
No,
And
she
she's
could
like,
do
we
that.
get
Yeah.
a lot of tourists. And I'm like, oh my God. Like that's I was like, no, guys. And she's like, yeah, get better tips. I'm like, work the system. But
Well, so
anyways.
here is the fact. So Paul pulled it up for me because
Oh,
he's incredible. So Paul said for the film's final scene in the Chinese restaurant, director Bob Clark wanted to get the real reaction from actress Melinda Dillon. She was the only
she
cast
was the
member
best.
who was purposefully given the wrong script. She had no idea that the roasted duck brought out by the waiters would still have its head attached. So she was so surprised at seeing it that she was generally startled when the waiters brought it out, right? So it like I think it was something
That's
about just
amazing.
and it's funny, I've seen this movie a ton of times, like almost every single Christmas, I think from as far back as I can remember. But I don't know, seeing it this time around, I was just like, I just couldn't stop laughing. It was just like her just like, and
Genuine laughter.
it's like losing it about how funny the duck is, but also losing it about like how bad things. It was just
Like
like
the day
it was
went
like,
terribly.
yeah, the day
Which
did not go well.
I
I
have
mean,
to
not
say,
Christmas vacation
rewatching
bad, but but bad.
close.
Mm.
So rewatching that scene, I'm like, so the kid shot his eye out,
Mm-hmm.
broke his glasses.
Broke his glasses. The turkey gets
They
decimated. Her house is
so
destroyed.
he leaves the back she leaves the back door open. So the dad did not help the kid set up his target practice. And the kid, I was like, oh, he put it on a metal sign. Like he put his little like paper target on a metal sign.
yeah.
Of course it's gonna bounce back. But
Yeah.
I'm like, so this 9-year-old had no parent supervision to set up his target practice. Dad's fault. Mom goes to help him because dad was sitting reading the paper. Chill. And she brings him upstairs because he's bleeding because he got shot in the face with
Because he's
a
bleeding,
BB gun.
yeah.
Again, dad doesn't do anything. He goes to pick at the like half raw turkey, doesn't put the turkey back in the oven. Like clearly mom's doing shit. She's dealing with the child who hurt himself, which is predominantly your fault to start with. You don't put the turkey in. You left the back door open so the neighbors' wild dogs get in and destroy the house and eat the turkey. Dad, shape up. Like what bubble? Oh, the boy bubble. No
Yeah.
offense, guys.
I mean, the dad is like you're kind of like cliched
Oh.
for that time.
Like cliched 50s, 60s, 30s
whatever
dad,
era, yeah.
40s dad.
He's both like
He's
the
not
worst
vintage.
and the best because he has these moments where he's just like
Yeah.
terrible, like and super cliched, where he's like fighting with the furnace, or he's like, you know, or he's
That's
like, you
hilarious.
know, loves to negotiate with the tree salesman, or
Yeah.
he's like, or the whole lamp, right? Like he's like, you know, his wife
Oh my
really
God, the
hates this
lamp.
lamp, and he's like super into the lamp. But then he has
Well, he
these, like,
doubles down because he
doubles
thought
down.
the prize would be so much bigger, and
Yeah.
it's some like smutty,
Yeah.
like lingerie leg lamp, and you know, wearing slutty little fishnets, you know, like, and the wife's like, no, and he's like, but I won this because he's like, shit. Well, I've been talking about winning this prize all
Yeah.
based on my smarts. I'm gonna have to love this, you
Yeah.
know. It's
But then
just kind of funny.
he
I
has these
love
like
that scene.
2 epic moments in the movie. One which we already talked about. So the one is where he comes through for Ralphie and gets the gift he
Yeah.
wants, which is like awesome. And then there's this
He
other
was
really-
actually listening.
he was actually listening, which he doesn't seem like he was, but he was.
No.
But then there's
which
this
is
other
cute.
like epic moment, which is like a, you know, kind of cult classic moment. So Ralphie for Christmas from one of his crazy relatives gets this bunny onesie, which is insane,
I love
right?
it.
It's a pink
Go
bunny
Aunt Clara.
onesie. Yeah. So he goes
Aunt
upstairs. His
Clara
mom makes
is
him put it on right away. So he goes upstairs to put on this onesie and he comes back downstairs and he's like mortified. He's like filled with shame. He doesn't want to wear this. He's like angry at the world. And the dad,
I'm pretty sure that wine drunk mom was like, I'm gonna get all the joy out
yeah.
of this. Kid, don't put that like
Yeah.
she's like, this is for me.
The mom
Like
is-
Aunt
the mom is
Clara
allowed.
made
Yeah.
this for my laughs.
For me.
Like,
100%
this is
for
my
me.
Christmas joy.
But the dad has this moment where he's like, you can go take that off.
Yeah,
look
which
at
is
his
good
face.
for the
Let him
kid.
take it
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Oh,
absolutely, I think
that
is like a
little
really sweet
boo-boo
moment.
face the kid had where he's
Yeah.
like, the bottom lip is all the way out. Like, cute.
How come Ralphie gets that and not Randy? Like, where's Randy's onesie? Like, what the
Chopped
heck? liver.
liver.
So
Well,
apparently,
apparently Aunt Clara made it, so that would have taken a lot of time.
I guess when I had family members who made me all kinds of crazy weird things at Christmas, and there was always one for me and for my brother. There was always like both for both of us.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so hilariously, Peter, who played Ralphie, he took home from the set. I was allowed to or took them, but he took the pink bunny costume.
Nice.
Oh shoot, what
Good
else
choice.
was it? The Red Ryder BB gun. There's one other thing. It wasn't the lamp. So the famous lamp in that movie, wasn't actually a lamp. It didn't. If you notice when he takes it out, it actually has no plug whatsoever.
It's just a mannequin leg.
It's just like a mannequin
from
leg.
the pantyhose section of a department store. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely fantastic. And I guess it actually shattered 3 times while they were filming it. So like it didn't even like every time that they tried to do it.
Could
it
we
shattered.
talk about when the mom is just like, you know what, I'm done at the lab. I'm gonna go water my plants.
Because you're like holding the
Crash.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no. I was just watering my plant over here. Like, I have to say, the mom outacted this movie. She took it on. Oh god, that was so good.
The mom was
fantastic.
fantastic. And if you think about it, that would be hard to
when
break.
The dad's trying to
tape it back.
Well, it's implied that it's like a lamp, like a porcelain lamp. It's not supposed to be plastic.
I guess.
Like we see that it's plastic, but it's supposed to have like you hear it crash, right?
Yeah.
So and shatter.
That's true.
But like when the dad like glues it all back together and he puts the lampshade on top, but it's too heavy, so it recracks it. Like I laughed so hard. Like he spent all that time like super gluing all these little ceramic pieces back together. It's like that was never gonna work.
Well, the best is he's like, where's the glue? And she's like, we don't have any glue.
He's like, it's a conspiracy. You used all the glue in the house before you broke the lamp. And true. That's probably, mind you, she could probably tell you where the glue is and you wouldn't have found it.
Yeah, she would not have found it.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we've reached the end of our time period.
Yes.
We're sorry to our live studio audience for being later than normal.
Thank you for sticking with us, guys.
Many of you are on the West Coast, so I'm grateful, but also I appreciate that it is earlier there for you. I'm laughing at some of these. Dan was saying he's worn a onesie to make his kids happy. You'll do anything for your kids. I'm the same way. I'll do anything for my kids. This one was hard to rate. I had a hard time with rating.
I have to admit that I have a unicorn onesie, and that's just for me.
Just for fun. Yeah, no involved, just fun.
That's because I wanted it.
Yeah. I had a hard time rating this one, not because I think I had a hard time rating this one because I feel like there are some movies out there that almost like, I don't know. Yeah, you just have such a strong level of nostalgia for it that I feel like it just transcends like the ability to rate it. Like this is just such a famous movie that to give it anything less than 5 is just weird. Like,
well, I mean, if we think about it, is well written, well acted. Like Ralphie and the mom were beyond amazing. Yeah. Like she committed to parts, like when Ralphie's having his little daydreams and it's like the wild frontier and he's like, he comes out in the glitteriest outfit and she's under the table and he's gonna save them with his Red Ryder BB gun and she's like, oh no, like she committed to that daydream like 100%. Like this actress was so good. Like we need to revisit. Could we go back and give like Oscars for post like old movies? Anyways,
yes,
so it was so well done. It was well written, well acted. And though the book, like you said, was based on sort of anti-commercialism and anti-consumerism of like the season, or to expose the commercialism of the season, this movie really just kind of gave us a very sweet classic picture of, you know, like a Western like Christmas, you know,
Yeah.
like it's just, its intentions are sweet. It really depicts childhood and childhood dreams and hopes, and how like kids grow up with their parents, and like the realization of your parents are also like there for you, and like all of these different things. Like, I don't know, it's just, I think it was very well done as a movie, aside from us loving it because we liked it when we were kids. You know, I think it's more than
Yeah.
just nostalgia. I think it was just actually
Yeah,
well
you know,
done as
it's actually,
well.
you're right. It actually is just
Yeah.
a well done
Yeah.
movie. So it does transcend time. And it's funny because even like rewatching it again, I was like, it's such a it's a strange feeling for me, and I don't know if you feel this way too, but it is by no means my favorite Christmas movie. It's probably not even in my top 5 favorite Christmas movies. Like there are Christmas movies I like way better than this one, but this one has like a level of like, I just like it's just iconic. It's so like
Yeah.
I know a lot of it. Like you said, it's referenced in like everything. Like you see the things and you're like, oh yeah, that's a Christmas story. Like
Yeah.
it's like, I would say, like, you know, it is not the level of, you know, obviously Die Hard, Home Alone, um Christmas Story. There's like, I mean, not Christmas Story, Christmas
On and
Vacation I
off.
love. I
On and off. Like, I feel it has that popularity, but it goes in waves, you know? Like,
It
I
does for
remember when
other
this
like,
came out on
yeah.
DVD, and it was like the biggest, like, it was like the biggest unvaulting of a movie to
Yeah.
put on DVD.
Yeah.
Like, it, yeah, like it really, you know, like the iconic, he's holding onto the slide because he blanked out what to tell Santa. Like, I mean, there's so many things that like kids nowadays are just like, they know it and they don't have no clue what
They
it
have no
came
clue
from.
why.
But
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's really, and it stood the test of time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm interested. So drop in. I mean, obviously we can swing on over here. I gave it. Oh, look at this, 5.5, because I kept that half at the bottom that I missed in my rush. So five and a half potatoes this time around. But yeah, I think for me it's interesting because I think it is definitely in the top. Oh, hang on, I mute myself. I'm about to sneeze. In the top 5 movies, but it not for me personally. Like there are other Christmas movies that I love way more than this, but this would
Yeah.
deserves to be at the very top of the
That was a
movie.
quick mute. Pretty good. Katie sneezed
Thank
her
you.
brains out.
Fast
If
on
you
my
guys are
mute.
listening,
I'm
if
fast
you're
on my mute.
listening and didn't see that, that was a full-bodied sneeze.
It was a full-bodied sneeze. Yeah, it's so funny. Like Paul said, this is exactly how I feel. It's not necessarily my favorite, but I watch it every year. Like it's
Same.
not, when I like make my list, because I'm neurotic, I make my list of like Christmas movies I need to watch. It's like it's never on that list, but then as I'm watching things through, I'm like, oh, and A Christmas Story. Like it's just like
Just
it's there. Yeah.
just funny because I keep adding to Katie's Christmas movie list, and she's like, "Nat, calm down," because like I'm so behind on my list. I'm never gonna watch these. I'm like, yeah, but I just added 2 today, and one was technically from last year.
My
It's just, you
exact
know,
response was like, I can't do that right now. I'm watching Hell's Kitchen and baking cookies. That's the level of commitment I'm in today now.
that's that was accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul gives it 5 Red Ryder BB guns. Well done.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
We should rate by movie. Dan gives it 3 fiery redheads. Also an appropriate rating. Also an appropriate rating.
Love it.
Yeah, Dan would have rated this movie higher if they didn't make a sequel. I know. I see. It's funny. I have no desire.
I
I know
haven't
that there are
seen the
sequels. There's actually
I
more than
learned
one
there was a
sequel.
sequel today.
Yeah.
No, but there was one that came out last year with Ralphie. Ralphie's like on the cover.
Yeah.
Like adult Ralphie, I guess, is the parent now. I'm assuming.
I don't even want to like read more about it.
I feel if Ralphie's in it, because I had heard him like years ago say he wouldn't do a sequel unless the script was amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I might.
Yeah. All right. Well, you do and
We'll
let me
see.
know. But you can't
Like,
watch this sequel until you've watched 8-Bit Christmas, which we need to do even though it's outside of our
oh
age
yes.
range because it's still
Yeah.
about our timeline. And it's funny. So Val said that she thought it was just okay. Yeah, see, it's funny. Like
Yeah.
I do think it I'm sort of with you, Val. Like I don't think it's like the best movie, but it has this like level of I don't know, like
I mean, it was kind of about nothing, right?
it's
Like, it's just about
iconic.
some white people in middle America wanting shit for Christmas and not getting it, but then they got it. Like, it's, and for being honest, like, it's kind of like it's literally about nothing.
It's apparently about commercialism, but I don't know if I really buy that. So George gives it 4 legs, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
I
And
mean,
Paul says, which I didn't even know was a thing, but Paul's made a couple comments that apparently there's a live version of this that CBS did. That sounds
okay,
horrifying.
what was with all those live movies that they did? Like, there was
Yeah.
these like live Grease and live something else.
Yeah, no, I
No,
haven't
thank
watched
you.
any of those. That sounds terrifying. I don't
No, thank
I'm
you.
the person that like so for
Like,
example,
if I want to see it live, I'll go to the theater.
yeah, but
Like,
even
but if it's not good enough to make a stage production of, then we're not going to go see it. Like,
even then
I
there was a stage production of this apparently. But
of this.
yeah. Not what Paul's talking about in the like live on TV,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like an
yeah,
actual stage production. But I'm even the kind of person like I went to go see Sound of Music, like a stage production of it, and I'm like, well, this isn't Julie Andrews. Like I can't process if it's not the people that like who actually are supposed to be in it. Like
Well,
I can't
I mean,
do
some
it.
voices you just can't replace. Like Julie Andrews, you
Yeah.
can't even. I mean, I'm just thinking Julie Andrews, like any like Mary Poppins, Sound of Music. Like you can't just cast somebody else. I'm sorry. Can you sing like that? No. Like
You went to the
that's like
casting
that's
call.
like casting somebody else like to do like Celine or Cher or Dolly. Like they're okay. Maybe well Miley can kind of do Dolly, but you know they're it's her goddaughter and they work together. Anyway, but I digress, guys. Keep me on track.
Well, we did it. We decide what we're doing
Yay.
next. Decide what we're doing next week. Oh no, next week is our
Well,
is like right before Christmas, right?
oh,
Is it?
it's Christmas.
I can't even. I've lost track of time, as
So
I've
it
proven tonight.
so it's Die Hard. You know, it's funny today or this earlier this week. I asked Katie, I'm like, "Are we doing a Christmas Story or Home Alone this week?" Because I really couldn't remember. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, no, it's a Christmas Story." But I'm like, we totally forgot about Home Alone this year, which is
Uh,
ironic because
that's
Macaulay Culkin got his
yeah, and we love
star.
Macaulay, and I
We
mean,
do.
yeah, we're not gonna fit everything in. I said I
No,
want
well,
to
I
watch my
mean,
Grumpy
there's
Cat Christmas, so I
yes.
will have to do either a
I
mini
mean, there's going to
episode
be
on that
another
or
Christmas like
it's
next
true.
year if
It's true.
we have we can
I'm
save
gonna
some.
I'm gonna jam it all in. I still want to do well. I mean, maybe how long is Grumpy Kid Christmas? I'll have to look at the back. 88 minutes. I can do it, guys. So I feel like we need to do this one, and we were talking like Grumpy Kid Christmas and a couple of the cartoons in like in a in a bonus episode. We need a bonus
Mhm.
episode. I don't have plans. I don't have many plans next week, so I might
That's
be all
fine.
right. I might be all right for a bonus day.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Definitely Die Hard next Thursday
Yeah,
if
Die
that
Hard
works.
next Thursday. So everyone that doesn't believe Die Hard's a Christmas movie, you're not invited to our live studio audience. But everyone else that wants to either give it a chance as a Christmas movie or rewatch it with us because you love it or whatever other feelings. So Ken's wife Rachel, who I'm good friends with, had never seen Die Hard, and she just watched it like a couple weeks ago at like celebrating it as a Christmas thing. She was like, "I love this movie." It was just the best. It
Yeah.
was like pure. She was like, "Everything about this is fantastic." I was like, "I know."
Yeah.
I don't think I've met anyone that like hadn't seen it, like got all the way to be an adult and had never seen it. Like I know people fight about whether or
Yeah.
not it's a Christmas movie. There's like wrong people
It's not a
and
fight.
like. Oh, Val
That's
asked a
like
really.
people
Oh, Paul answered it.
say,
Val asked a good movie about how many diehards there are. I was actually wouldn't have been able to answer.
"Oh,
5.
loads."
Paul says. Paul says 5, and he's always right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Grinch, I with my last weekend with my little niece watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas and she loved it. She's
Yeah.
one, and when
Holds
they were
up.
singing You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, she was
Mhm.
like, And we're talking about the 1960
Yeah,
whatever,
the cartoon.
66
Yeah, not any of the movies.
cartoon,
Yeah.
the 26-minute runtime Grinch. Like,
Yeah.
we're no buffoonery. But she loved it. She's one, and she was just like, she loved the Grinch, of course. She did her little dance when they sang his
I like
song.
the
Like,
Who song. That always plays in
so
my mind rent
I
free.
thought the Who song was quite cute, and she was just like, okay. And then You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch came on, and she's bobbing along.
She's
I'm like,
in,
oh,
yeah.
you're trouble. Like, good luck, Andrew. That's my brother. Like, she's gonna be fun as a teenager.
I love it. Absolutely
You're a
love it.
mean one.
So perfect.
Oh.
Okay, so
So
next
I'm ready
week,
for that.
Die Hard and bonus episode. Grumpy Cat, Grinch, maybe
Grinch.
Peanuts. What are some of the other ones that are the
A
half hour?
Muppets. Not a
I gotta
Muppets
find the
Christmas
Muppets.
Carol, a
Yeah.
Muppets Christmas. I'll find it for you.
Okay.
I'll find
Find
it
it
on
for
the
me.
interwebs, and
I
I
will.
will pull a Sandra Bullock a Lynette. I'm
Yeah.
joking.
That's gonna get me
I will just
arrested.
I will not get you arrested.
Here's my GoFundMe account for what I inevitably get. Oh, Rudolph.
Oh,
Some of the
Rudolph.
other iconic.
Oh yeah, the stop motion ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah,
With the
Rudolph.
misfit toys.
Yeah, the misfit
Oh, I
toys.
learned a fun fact. Apparently,
Uh-oh.
apparently, male reindeer lose
Oh,
their
yeah.
antlers in the winter. So those are all like women saving Christmas once again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which, a PSA to all of the men in our lives: fill your wives' stockings if they want you to.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget to buy them Christmas presents. The kids need to know that Santa didn't forget mom.
Frosty the Snowman. Yeah, see, everyone's
Oh
got
yeah,
their
Frosty.
Charlie Brown. All right, we'll do a
Yeah,
super
okay.
bonus episode with all of
With
these
like all the
short
little,
ones.
the shorts,
ones.
like all the little cartoons.
We've seen
and
them many times, so
stop
even if we don't get
motions.
around to rewatching all of them, we'll find all of the facts for these ones and
Yes.
bring them live to the show. Well, thank you, everyone. Huge thank you to Nat and all of the Tater Tots for putting up with me being late. I was like, oh man, I bailed. I gotta reschedule. And then I was like, no, I can be here, just very late. So thank you. I'm blown away. I assumed we would just be talking to no one, which is fine. We can talk to each other. We're fine with that, but it's so much more fun with everyone in the audience. And if you are listening to this later, whether you are listening on your favorite podcast player or you're watching us on YouTube, you can always join us most Thursdays, usually at 9 p.m. Eastern, although sometimes late and sometimes not at all because, you know, we have lives, but things go dramatically wrong from time to time. But yeah, we are most of the time here on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can always join our live studio audience and share your feelings and opinions. We have a brand new website. Please go and visit it and see all the past episodes and read through some fun show notes and all of that amazing details. We're still working on getting everything all hooked up and ready to go. You can find it at thevhsclubpod.com. You can email us at thevhsclubpod@gmail.com. Send us all your favorite movies that we should do. So Dan is already top of the list because he's sent me the actual movies. So we have Grumpy Cat and then we have Strange
Go Dan!
Brew, which that will be happening after... I don't think I can reach it. I can't reach it down, but it's right down here at my feet. That we'll do that once the Christmas season wraps up. It's like Christmas adjacent, but not quite.
Yeah,
not quite Christmas.
It's really just
it's
Canadian.
It's a wonderful Canadian wonderfulness.
There's beer.
And then huge congratulations again to Val. Please, if you're listening or you're watching, swing on over. We'll drop the link in the description so that you can find it really fast because it was so fun to watch you perform with like just
with Lenny Kravitz,
everything. Like Lenny was amazing, but also like the whole choir was amazing. Everything about the production was amazing. Yeah. So we will share the link and congratulations. That was super fun.
I love the bassist. I don't know, they were badass. The whole setup was great. It was so good to see Val there, and I was like, I felt like I know a superstar.
Oh, we know famous people. Yeah, it was very fun. It was super fun to be able to watch. So yeah.
My brother being my brother, it was like I sent him the link, and he's like, "Cool," like one word, which is good because like if he had like that's a lot from my brother. Good, excellent.
High praise from Andrew. High praise.
Yes, high praise.
I love it.
Well, have a wonderful night. Camilla was the bassist from Australia. Well, she was
Ah,
badass.
yeah. Props
Love
to
her.
Camilla. Shout out to Camilla. She
Yeah.
was absolutely fantastic. All right, I may go to have
Yeah.
to listen to it again because it was that good. And we will
Let's.
see you all next week for the episode that we were originally going to launch with. Get ready for the Die Hard episode. It might be longer than normal because we have so many feelings and thoughts about it. And we'll probably rewatch it
Not
again on
Christmas
Christmas Eve.
until
So.
Hans Gruber falls off the tower.
It's very true. I have an entire, I'll bring up my advent calendar where he's falling slowly every day so you can fully appreciate the vibe with me. But it is pretty fantastic. All right. Well, we'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks so much, Nat. Thanks, all of the Tater Tots.
Bye.